Good morning, everyone. On behalf of SCOPE, I would like to welcome you to this 2 days workshop on leadership development for women executives. Given the overwhelming response and repeated requests from the public sector enterprises, we have also arranged to telecast this session live so that many people who are attending this virtually can hear the guidance and motivation from our eminent panelists in the inaugural session today. So welcome to the people who are attending this offline and online. We all know that women are a very integral part of the society and the economy. They have been playing a multifarious role ensuring well-being of their families, societies, and country at large. With time, their role is changing. Women are stepping into the corporate world, working neck to neck with their counterparts. However, their presence in leadership and decision-making roles is still looking for gender parity. In this light, SCOPE has organized this 2 days workshop so as to understand how women can charter their path to success while efficiently playing their multiple roles. It is indeed an honor to be joined by eminent panelists who are here to motivate and also help us to show the guiding light and paving the way forward. They have not only excelled as leaders, but also inspired many with their journey of rise to their positions today. Foremost, it is indeed a pleasure and honor to have with us Ms. Aarti Ahuja, Secretary, Labor and Employment. We are grateful to you, ma'am, for your presence today and for your time today to us and guiding us for our way forward. With this, may I request my colleague to please present ma'am with a token of her respect and a planter. We are also privileged to have presence of Ms. Soma Mondal, ma'am, member PESP. Ma'am has been associated with SCOPE as its chairperson, and it is a pleasure to have another opportunity to hear you, ma'am, again. So welcome to the program. I request my colleague to please present ma'am with a planter and a token of our respect. It is also indeed an honor to welcome Dr. Vasundhara Upmanyu, Joint Secretary, Department of Public Sector Enterprises, and who has recently taken over the charge in DPE and handles policy and MOU division. Ma'am has handled many portfolios in her career and has contributed innovatively to all of them. We would like to extend a warm welcome to you, ma'am, and we look forward to your guidance and encouragement in all our future endeavors. May I request my colleague to please present ma'am with a planter and a token of our respect. We take this opportunity to welcome Mr. Satoshi Sasaki, Officer in Charge and Deputy Director, International Labour Organization, India. SCOPE and ILO have been partnering on a number of projects, and the collaboration has been working extensively in the area of women empowerment. It is a pleasure to have you with us, sir, and thank you for your time today. I request my colleague to please present sir with a planter and a token of respect. We also welcome Director General SCOPE, Shri Atul Sopti, who has been the guiding light behind the programs of SCOPE. Women empowerment is a subject which is very close to his heart, which he not only preaches, but truly believes in and practices. Thank you, sir, for your time today. A round of applause for sir, please. We also welcome Mr. Ashok Bhatt, who is the faculty for the program, who is an eminent educationist and expert in the field of HR and organization management. Sir is the program director for this program also. A round of applause for him today. We also welcome Mr. Ravindra Kumar Tyagi, Director Operations Power Grid and Executive Board Member of SCOPE to today's program. We thank you, sir, for your time today, and I would request my colleague to please present him with a planter and a token of our respect. To begin with the formal proceedings, now I invite Mr. Atul Sopti, Director General Scope, for his opening remarks. Sir is a visionary leader having a versatile professional experience of nearly 4 decades. Before leading Scope as Director General, Sir was CMD BHEL. In his guidance, Scope has transformed into an innovative organization while addressing various aspects relevant to the corporate sector. Over to you, sir, for your address.
Thank you, Smriddhi. Respected Secretary, Labor and Employment, Madam Aarti Ahuja, Soma Mandalji, Member Public Enterprise Selection Board, Mr. Santoshi Sasaki, Officer in Charge, International Labour Organization, India, Madam Vasundhara, Joint Secretary, Department of Public Enterprises, Mr. Bhatt, the Program Director, Mr. R.K. Tyagi, Director Operations Power Grid, and our board member also, senior representatives from Women in Public Sectors, WIPs, officials from ILO who are present here, directors and chief executives of various public sector enterprises, participants from over 43 organizations, and attendees who are joining virtually also this particular inaugural session. A very good morning to everyone. It's a matter of pride that we welcome such eminent panelists on the board for this important program, which is truly the need of the hour. And not only the panel, but the other dignitaries of the dais. It's indeed a pleasure for me to see the presence of so many aspiring women and the fact that Scope has received such an overwhelming response for this particular program. It speaks volume of this program. Although this particular program is a nature of workshop where you people will have to interact, come forward, make presentation also, and but still I see the number of participants, the response which you have got is overwhelming. Ladies and gentlemen, as you know, that for centuries, women have dealt with the stereotyped kind of work like caregivers and homemakers, and they have struggled to break these cliches and carve a place for themselves. It's the reality. Let's accept the reality. Many of you may or may not be aware that USA, which is the largest democracy, which is one of the oldest democracy in the world and one of the most advanced country in the world. In fact, till 1920, there was no voting rights for women. They got the voting right after 133 years of implementation of their constitution and a struggle of almost a century by women after raising their voice. We're lucky in this our country, the equal rights to women were given immediately after independence. In fact, this clearly reflects the historically submissive position of the women across the world at that point of time, but the time is changing now. Journey has been long, a difficult one, not only in India, but across the globe. And the tides are now turning and witnessing a phenomenal shift. Workplaces, they have started to recognize the capabilities and strength of the women employees and even in the leadership role. I like to share some statistics with you. If you talk about the mid-market business, there was a study by Grant Thornton. They say that today the female CEO and MD for this mid-market, not the overall I am talking, 28% globally are the women today, as compared to 15% only in 2019. And just see that how the change is taking place, and change is taking place very fast. Not only globally, but India also things are changing very fast. In fact, as per a Deloitte study, close to 17% of the board seats in India are held by women, which were only 9.4% in 2014. See how the things are changing. And same trend I am seeing in the public sector enterprises. In fact, today we have 18 women in CMD's position and 18 are the functional directors. I have been associated with public sector for more than 4 decades. In fact, the early 80s when I joined BHEL, my ex-organization, at that time it was difficult to find even a women senior manager or deputy general manager at that point of time. It was very difficult. Today you see many of them are holding very senior position in these organizations. Reasons are twofold, I will say. Government of India has given a lot of impetus to the women empowerment, lot of support is being given through the policy measures also. And corporates, they have also recognized that if women are given opportunity, women are empowered, the organizational productivity can go up, the country's GDP can also go up. And that the reason if friendly corporate policies are being introduced by these corporates and the public sector. In fact, I don't know whether you're aware or not, some of the public sectors had come out with specific ads where women recruitment was there. NTPC is one example which is coming to my mind, that only women were applying for that particular ad. And a lot of flexible policies have been introduced. But the situation, although looks good, what I've told you, but if you do the analysis, still a lot of things have to be done. World over, if you see the total, what you call chief executives, only 4% positions are held by the CMDs of various organizations globally. Only 4%. And as per the World Economic Forum, this is quite a disturbing fact. As per the World Economic Forum, the Global Gender Gap Analysis report, which they have said, that if the present pace continues, although it has already accelerated, it will take nearly 132 years to close the global gender gap. But the point is we have to accelerate this. Even if we are not able to close the gender gap fully, but we need to bring to that level that they were able to contribute not only to their own companies, but the national economy and the world economy at large. If you talk about the public sector, we have been doing a lot of analysis on the women empowerment, and we see only 9% of the workforce today is women, and majority of them in the labor force. I mean, that's a very, disturbing fact. We did another analysis recently about last year itself, 2022. Public Enterprise Selection Board had approached us to do some analysis that how many executives are in pipeline who have the likelihood of taking the position of the chairman and directors, and that itself was very disturbing. We did a survey from 110 Schedule A and Schedule B companies, and we found that at GM and above position, only 9% women are there. The point is, unless that pipeline is built, it's not possible to bring them to the board level position. That pipeline has to be built. And basically, what are the reasons? Although they are having the caliber also, they have the capability also, what's holding them back? I like to put it in basically 3 E's according to my own thinking. First E is engage by thinking big. All of you, the participant here, they need to think big. That's very, very important thing. Accept the challenge, because opportunity don't come on their own. You have to identify the opportunities and you have to pursue those opportunities. Control your destiny or someone else will. You have to control your destiny. Believe in yourself. And I'm sure that if you accept the bigger roles and greater responsibility, you will find that you can do it. Second point I like to mention is empower through the skill development. Everybody is talking of skill development today, and the shelf life of a skill today is very limited. And especially it's utmost important for the women, because skilling is one of the most important differentiator. And if they need to stay abreast and upgrade themselves from time to time. Third E, which I like to mention, is empathize. Empathize to mentorship and guidance. This is a very important aspect. Everybody in life has got the role model. We need to see. Sometimes we surrender in between, especially in the women. As per my study, the age between 30 to 40 becomes very difficult. That is the age they either leave the job or they slow down in their particular, maybe due to various reasons. The point is, you need to look at the role models who achieved something in their life, because they are the one who have passed through the similar situation. They have passed through the similar priorities. They have faced those challenges. They have faced those dilemmas, and you need to identify with themselves. And the next point is the people who have reached at a senior position, it's important for them to inspire others also to rise. That's very, very important. These three things, I think we need to work in that particular direction, thinking big and skill development and supporting and taking the inspiration of the people who have been successful. In fact, we would be getting many leaders during this Tuesday workshop who would be sharing their own experience, how they reached their position, what are the kind of problems they faced. In fact, just now I got a call from the director, International Indian Oil Corporation. She was earlier not possible to come for her, that she was in Panipat. She said that this is a very important occasion where I like to share my own experience, and she would be joining you after in the first session itself. So similarly, we are getting many leaders who have been successful in their own career, and they will share their own experience in this regard. Another point which I like to mention is men also have to come forward for supporting the unpaid work, such as child, elderly care, and the homemaker concepts. Things are changing. In fact, I have seen that my home also, I have two married sons, and I see how the things are changing in their homes also, the kind of support they are giving at home. So this is a very good thing, because that's the way the women employees can focus on their professional journey also. Another point which I feel that there has to be innovative and flexible policies which have to be introduced by the organization themselves. They need not look toward the government all the time. There is a lot of flexibility based on which they can do this kind of policies introduction. And in fact, we had conducted some study on the work from home, which was done along with ILO. I was happy to see the letter from the in charge ILO that on a lot of work is being done in that particular regard also, along with the Ministry of Labor and Employment. At ILO, we are doing a lot of work in this particular direction with the support at Scope. We are doing a lot of work in the direction with the support of ILO. In fact, we organize workshops, seminars, and we have conducted two very important studies. In fact, women in leadership in PSCs and work from home on women executives. Another important thing which I like to share with you, that under the overall umbrella of Scope, we have women in public sector. One forum is there. Their president is sitting here. That is called WIPS, which is playing a critical role in integrating women from across the public sector. And I feel that women need to rise to the leadership position because they have the leadership ability, aptitude, and the attitude also. I'm sure that this particular 2 days workshop will energize you, and you will see the whole workshop is planned in a manner that this will sensitize the women executives and the opportunities which are waiting them, as well as it will also help them to develop the skills for leveraging the emotional resilience that is unique for the women. And I mentioned that many successful leaders will also be coming here to share their experiences with you. As we embark upon the journey, we have today successful women who have led by examples. It's a pleasure for me to have Madam Aarti Ahuja, Secretary, Ministry of Labor and Employment. Ma'am, we are thankful to you for gracing this occasion, and your presence, in fact, will definitely help in guiding the women executives to move forward with confidence and sparks so as to lead from the front. It's also a pleasure that Madam Soma Mandal is here, and it's indeed a pleasure of, it's a matter of immense pride for us, because she was the first chairperson of a Maharatna and the former chairperson of Scope. And today, as a member of Public Enterprise Selection Board, she is helping to bring forth valuable leaders to lead the PSCs. We also have Madam Vasundhara here, the Joint Secretary, Department of Public Enterprises, who has recently, few months back, has taken over this position in Department of Public Enterprises. And I'm sure Ma'am, your presence would be motivating to all the participants. We are also thankful to DPE for posing faith in scope and constantly encouraging the apex body from time to time. Among these remarkable women, we have the sporting men also. I am thankful to Mr. Santoshi Saki, who is the officer in charge ILO, for being with us today. ILO support has been a pillar of strength for SCOPE throughout the collaboration with SCOPE from time to time, specifically in the area of the women empowerment, and which has definitely helped to frame some important guidelines for encouraging the gender parity. We also have with us Mr. Ashok Bhatt, who is eminent academician, having extensive experience in anchoring a large number of initiatives in HR system. I am happy that he is our faculty and he will be with you for 2 days. And this clearly assures us the high relevance and importance of the content of the total workshop today. We also have the dynamic director of the Power Grid and our SCOPE board member, Mr. Tyagi, would be sharing his observation. And I'm sure that you will be having a lot of valuable takeaways after this particular workshop. And you will take advantage of all the the inputs which were given to you during this particular workshop. Before I end, I like to say that to the participant that you have the unique perspective and ideas are tremendous there, and hence share your voice and thoughts fearlessly during this particular workshop. India is already now moved to the 5th largest economy in the world and inching toward the 3rd largest economy in the world. And women have to play, the Indian women have to play a very important work in this. I like to say, by summarizing, that world cannot do without India. India cannot do without public sectors. And public sectors cannot do without its women leaders. That's you. So go out there and contribute, as your contributions are valued and it makes the difference every single day. Best of luck. Thank you very much, and Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir, for your inspiring words and highlighting the positive change that women are facing as they rise up the ladder, and also for giving us the key mantras to go out there and fetch what we want. Now I have the pleasure to invite Mr. Satoshi Sasaki, Officer in Charge and Deputy Director, ILO India, to present the international perspective in this regard. Mr. Sasaki has been working with ILO for over 25 years. He has extensive experience working for government, international technical agencies, and the United Nations. Given his vast and varied experience, Mr. Sasaki has progressed through specialized technical areas, including sustainable enterprise development, entrepreneurship, local economic development, and crisis response. Currently, he is responsible for managing the ILO's Decent Work Country program in India. Now, may I request Mr. Sasaki to please share his address.
Madam Secretary, Mrs. Ahja, Minister of Labor and Employment, DG Scope, Mr. Atul Shokti, dignitaries on the dais, representatives from the public sector enterprises, and the participants, very good morning. On behalf of the ILO office in India, I'm extremely pleased to participate in this workshop, which is especially focusing on the leadership development for women executives. I would like to congratulate DG and the executive board and the members of the scope for taking this proactive initiative. ILO stands firm in promoting equal opportunities for all workers. We have been engaged in many activities promoting women empowerment and providing equal opportunities for women. We are extremely happy to say that much work in this area has been done by SCOPE in collaboration with ILO. The initiative on empowering women in public sector enterprise in India started in 2017. With the Bureau of Employers Activities of the ILO undertaking a study on women in leadership and management in public sector undertakings, PSUs, in India, in collaboration with SCOPE. This was the first time a study of this nature was conducted cutting across different PSUs in India. It received active support from SCOPE's with Women in the Public Sector Forum. The findings from the study were manifold. Significantly, the study pointed out that underlying organizations as being gender neutral do not necessarily promote substantive gender equality as indicated by a skewed percentage of women in the managerial and leadership ladder. Organizations have shown their intent in recognizing women as a talent pool and effectively utilize this talent pool by creating a system that nurtures their potential. The focus is on their competency building, starting from the induction level. Specifically, the study proposed 19 recommendations clubbed under the 4 categories of including 1, improving organizational work structure, 2, strengthening basic necessity and facilities, and 3, sensitization efforts at all levels, and 4, other support factors. As an immediate follow-up of the study, it was proposed that SCOPE creates a body of champions drawing from the different PSUs. It was decided that these champions will facilitate the much needed dialogue and the discussion within PSUs. ILO trained and certified these identified champions. The 12 champions, including 2 men and 10 women, become the SCOPE task force, which is now competent to conduct gender training and sensitizing sessions, focusing on equal opportunities for career achievement in PSUs. In 2020, the COVID pandemic made ILO initiate a second study in collaboration with SCOPE on work from home model in PSUs. The work from home arrangement was a key recommendation of the 2017 SCOPE ILO study. It had then received a fair share of the arguments and counter arguments. However, the COVID pandemic made the work from home option inevitable. The SCOPE champions and ILO thought this was an opportunity to ascertain the effectiveness of the work from home arrangement, which had been proposed under the previous study as flexi working arrangement for women executives and managers in PSUs. The study was intended to answer the questions like, how effective was the work from home arrangement? What are the experiences of the PSUs? What are the challenges women in leadership and management in PSU faced for the working from home? Has it exposed issues of the work-life balance and so on? In this study, the champions trained by the ILO were involved from the beginning in terms of the conceptualizing and participating in conducting the study and drafting the guidelines for the gender-sensitive work-from-home policy of in PSUs. The SCOPE ILO initiatives, through its champions, has huge potential in drawing attention within the PSEs of the influencing factors that enables organizations to build a more empowered organization. The start has already been made through the pilot workshop conducted by the champions so far. More importantly, today's workshop testifies very clearly to the firm commitment of the management of the scope towards promoting empowerment of women executives. The objectives of today's workshop are to help women executives to identify opportunities for leadership, distinct behavioral aspects to become effective leaders, and leveraging the positive climate for gender empowerment in order to inspire them to take on senior management positions. The two studies reports, SCOPE and ILO collaborated in 2017 and 2022, refer to some interesting findings that would help in pursuing today's workshop objectives. I'm sure that you will deliberate on further during the workshop. And ILO stands for the committed to work and collaborate further with SCOPE in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for giving us an overview of the various collaborations of ILO and SCOPE, and we are certainly committed to the cause. Moving forward, now is the time to hear about the industry perspective about women in leadership positions. And for this, may I invite Mr. Ravindra Kumar Tyagi. Sir, with over 30 years of experience in public sector, has handled multidisciplinary functions and has been representing India in many international technical committees and is author to more than 50 technical papers which have been circulated both nationally and internationally. With this, over to you, sir, for your address.
Good morning, all. Respected Madam Aarti Ahuja, Secretary Labor and Employment. Respected Madam Soma Mandal, Member PSB and former Chairman SAIL and SCOPE. Respected Shri Satoshi Sasaki, Officer in Charge ILO. Respected Shri Atul Sopti, DG SCOPE and former Chairman BHL. And respected dignitaries on the dais, ladies and gentlemen, very good morning. It is a matter of pride for me to address this august gathering and women leaders who are presently contributing towards the growth of this country. While we discuss women in leadership, I recall the words of Ayn Rand. The question is not who is going to let me, it is who is going to stop me. So this workshop, I think, needs to train you how to lead wherever you are. We have had numerous women leaders in the world who have proved this quote right. Many of them are already present in this august gathering, like Secretary Madam Soma Mandal Madam, and we are proud of our Honorable President, Madam Draupadi Murmu ji, former President Pratibha Patil Madam, Honorable former Prime Minister Indira Gandhi. Then we have Kalpana Chawla, who went to space and made India proud. She was from my college, my college mate, and many more leaders who are contributing towards growth of our country, growth of the world. 50 years back, there used to be very few girls in engineering colleges and various colleges. But today, we have many, maybe 50%, 60% girls in each area. Girls have proved that they can do excellent work. If you see results of 10th, 12th, and various exams, you will find that the first, second positions will be taken by girls. In public sector, which we are having this workshop, we still have to do a lot of work to create an environment where women leaders can foster. This area of greatest concern as identified by the World Economic Forum's Global Gender Gap report is women's economic participation and opportunity. These are areas as identified by this report. The public sector as a whole need a better gender balance. The recent Global Energy Talent Index report mentions that there is a chronic shortage of women in our industry. Mr. Sopti was mentioning leaders, women leaders at the top at chairman position, but we require more and more women leaders in pipeline at DGM level, at general manager level, at various levels. At Power Grid, we have seen increasing trend of women employees in various areas. When we started, we hardly had 1% of women employees. Today, we have about 9% executives, 7% supervisors, and 6% at workman level. We are continuously working how we can increase their participation. The Power Grid's esteemed women employees are spread across the country. They are in Arunachal Pradesh, they are in Jammu and Kashmir, they are in Leh, apart from various parts of the country. We are considering making one full station as women employees station. We have already started in southern region at one station, all employees are women. And maybe in the days to come in each region, whether it is J&K, whether it is Assam, we are going to have one station dedicated for women employees. So we are working towards that. The gender diverse leadership teams contribute to enhanced decision making, increased innovation, and improved financial performance. Despite these proven benefits, the representation of women in leadership roles remains comparatively less. We must confront the reasons behind this parity. I am very sure that in these 2 days workshop, there will be solutions for these challenges. We have to promote a culture that values and supports the advancement of women in leadership. This includes fostering inclusive work environments, implementing unbiased hiring and promotion practices, and providing equal access to development opportunity. Addressing unconscious biases and creating inclusive cultures is also vital in promoting women's leadership development. Organizations must actively challenge and dismantle gender stereotypes, ensuring that women are judged based on their abilities, skills, and accomplishments rather than preconceived notions. Another critical aspect of leadership development for women is creating networks and communities that foster collaboration, learning, and support. Peer-to-peer mentoring, network events, and affinity groups can provide platforms for women to share experiences. These networks serve as a source of encouragement, empowerment, and resilience for aspiring and current women leaders. This is where WIPS, Women in Public Sector, could play a pivotal role by creating chapters in various organizations and carrying out such activities. Women have for long proven to the industry that they can rise against all odds. There are examples sitting right here in this auditorium. They have led it to excellence. The onus is on the industry, on the public sector, now to remove these odds and create a launch pad for the future women leaders. To reach at the top, we need to be hedgehogs and not the fox. I wish all the best to future leaders of various areas, various women leaders sitting here, coming from various organizations. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for highlighting the growing role of women and how they can do more. Now is the time to hear about some practical experience from a person who rose to the position of Chairman SAIL and is now member PESP. During her tenure as Chairman SAIL, Madam Soma Mandal had undertaken innovative programs for raising commercial performance of the company while inspiring many women to think big. With this, may I invite ma'am for her address, please.
Good morning. Madam Arti Ahuja, Secretary, Eleni, Mr. Satoshi Sasaki, ILO, Mr. Atul Soptiji, Scope. I have a pleasure of being associated for more than 2 years. And then we have Ma'am Vasundhara, then Mr. Ravindra Tyagi, Mr. Ashok Bhatt. What a good panel we have here. And to my CPSE's women colleagues, ex-colleagues, like now I'm no longer in CPSE. It's wonderful to be back in Scope. So nice to see you all. And again, as I said, you all bring so much color. The men are generally blue, black, gray. So it looks very nice to see all the colors here. Today's topic, leadership development for women executives. It's a workshop which you have. I hope it is interactive. When we come to women in leadership, like I'm asked this question, ma'am, how is women leadership? Is there any difference between a woman leader or a man leader? I don't think. Man-woman leadership is the same. When you talk about leadership, it is not about you being a leader. It is about why would anybody want to follow you? And if there are people willing to follow you, willing to follow to your shared goals, then you are a leader. And a leader does not mean that you have to hold the corner room to become a leader. Leader, if you have five people under you, you are a leader of those 5 persons. And in a CPSE, when you join, you have non-executives with you. So a leader there. So how it is all about, this workshop would be, I'm sure, not about making women leaders. It is about how to make you all leaders. And I'm sure CPSEs, while nominating you, have seen that you have this leadership trait where you would be the future leaders of CPSEs. If you really look at women in leadership roles, I'm talking about the ultimate leadership roles, maybe GMs, CGMs, EDs, and directors, chairman. In CPSEs, manufacturing, you don't have too many of them. But if you look at any corporate, whether it's government or private, you look at finance, you look at IT, you look at services, anywhere, there's plenty of women. Why so? I've asked this question many a times. Why is it? If there was a glass ceiling, I don't know, many believe there's a glass ceiling. If there was a glass ceiling in CPSE, then women may not have been there. I'm not speaking of private sector now.
Glass ceiling అంటే కనబడలేనటువంటి ఒక అడ్డు తెర.
Okay. So much of it I would believe is the comfort zone, because manufacturing is a challenging sector, right? And much of it is maybe in the plants also. There are many challenging roles. So with the thought of giving a more comfortable role to the woman, the manager's strength, the manager or the supervisor, which I mean, it could be the senior whoever decides which position or what role to give you, gives you a more comfortable job. You are happy, he is happy, The whole company is happy, but you don't realize that you are losing out in the long run, because ultimately in this rat race, a person who has taken up challenging role goes up. So nowadays we have quite a few women joining at junior levels, at the management trainee, technical, non-technical or administration levels. Many are joining, but we are still not being able to form a pool, which Ms. Sopti was talking about. The pipeline is not available. So the other day I was speaking to many of you, maybe from EIL. I'm quite impressed with Chairman EIL. I was speaking to her, and she said that we were speaking on this. She said, yes, when she was in one of the branches at a junior level, and she was working on a project, and ultimately when she saw that the project posting has come, she was not sent there. So she takes up the courage and speaks to the branch manager or regional manager, whoever decides. Then that person tells that it's a project site, very difficult. How would you go and stay there? She says, but I've been so passionately working on it. I want to go there. Maybe she must have been in a grade 2, grade 1, grade 2 or grade 3 position. Then what happens is she was not posted there, but 7 days में उसका posting आया दूसरा project site में. Not as difficult maybe, but so she spoke out and she did her job passionately. It's not only about speaking out. If you say you want to do a job, you will have to give your 100% to that. So this is one of the learnings when I look at CPSEs in the manufacturing. I think this is one of the major factors where maybe you need to speak out a bit and say, okay, I'm willing to take this role whenever that role gets free. But your senior should be convinced that you can give your 100% to that. Because nowadays we don't have the luxury of extra manpower. We all CPSEs are under a crisis of manpower crisis. Second, what I would like to speak on is who is a leader? A leader is who leads a team. And as I said, why would a team follow you? So basically, you should have a shared goal. Your goal and your team's goal, your goal should be shared with your team. You should be having a knowledge to decide on a goal or to walk the path to the goal. You should be open to discussions. So what happens is listening becomes what most of us miss out. We should be open to listening to our team members. And if there are differences in opinion, discuss it out and find out how a solution. You can always do that. If you are an authentic leader, if you are going to walk the talk, people, the team members will be with you, because everybody needs a sense of purpose. You have to bring in them the feeling of excitement, a feeling of their significance, a desire to be a part of something big. However small that role may be, however small that position may be. Even a person who cleans up the shop floor has a significant role. So the main thing which comes is the people in your team should trust you. So you need to first is have the knowledge to take decisions. Take decisions on time, which is something in CPSEs we lack. We think each minute, each hour is important. We are willing to take decisions over a span of 7 days, 10 days, 1 month. That is something a leader should not do, because that doesn't go very well with the team. And if you have all this, you will automatically command respect. You don't have to demand respect. आजकल के दिन में respect demand नहीं किया जाता है. The respect should come on itself. What becomes more important is once you are trusting your team, you're also empowering them. Becomes very important. And when you're empowering them, it's also important that you should have a very strong and effective feedback mechanism with you. But In all this, one thing which I was noticing, sitting there noticing, you all are future leaders, right? Your company must have thought you all to be future leaders. Very important is discipline of time. If your meeting starts at 10, you need to be here by 10. You need to be here by 5 minutes to 10, 2 minutes to 10. If you're not respecting your time, you're not respecting it's not about your time, it's about the other person's time. If as a chairman, you have decided that the meeting is going to start at 10, it is to start at 10. If as a manager, as a junior manager, you have decided a meeting will start at 10, it will start at 10. You need to be at 10. And if your boss has decided a meeting is start at 10, you have to be. So that is one of the most important lessons you need to follow. Otherwise, you can never become a leader. I'm very clear about that. It makes your first impression. And second, I've spoken about being an authentic leader, to walk the talk. Second is, see, a little about myself I would like to speak on. I came from a company which manufactured aluminum. I worked more than, say, 84 to 17, that is 33 years in the company when I shifted to steel, and I knew nothing about steel. I was director commercial there for 3 years. I was director commercial before I became chairman sale. And believe me, the amount of hard work I had to do just to understand steel. It's not about the steel knowledge. The knowledge of my plant, knowledge about kahan semis ban raha hai, kahan semis ka problem hai, unloading ka kya problem hai, production ka kya problem hai, raw material ka kya problem hai. See, if I didn't have this knowledge, I will not get respect. My team members will not believe me. Nor would I understand what they are saying. So spend a lot of time in gathering knowledge. When I was shifting, in fact, I was worried. Those days, the market was bad and people asked me that, what do you feel? You're moving to a new organization. I said two challenges. One is the market is so bad, steel is doing so really bad. And I hope the market turns up, and that was dependent on the Almighty. The market is not in our hands. Second is, they're all senior people. There was a meeting, there was an interview, and I got chosen. There were senior EDs. I hope I'm accepted there. And believe me, there was no issues there at all. The second part, I thought the second part would be more difficult. If you try your best, if you show that your intent is right, if you're trying hard for a job, for the work you have been assigned, automatically the respect will come in. So, and another thing which was very important is when I took over as a chairman, I realized it's a complex, very complex company, because it's spread all over the country. It has steel plants, it has alloy steel plants, it has mines, it has coal mines, it has Chandrapur ferroalloys, it has stainless steel. And each plant has been brought up in a separate time, separately. Its policies are different. The culture is different. So in such a diverse organization, what I decided is, week mein ek din, Monday morning, kuch nahi, over virtual, luckily in the COVID times, virtual meetings became very common. So I decided that let's have a chai pe charcha with all the directors ahead of the plants and directors on a Monday morning. And the meeting will not be more than 45 minutes. No agenda, no ATM. And believe me, that was what brought about the cohesiveness in this complex company. So as a leader, you have to find out how you have to get your team together. That's the most important thing. Nothing else works. If you have the right person in the right place, believe me, your job is so much easier. If you bring in synergy between the second tier, over there, if you feel that my power will reduce if I make the short circuits there, then there's problem. But if the synergy develops in the team below, life cannot be but easier for whoever the leader is. So what I would again go back to say that you all are potential leaders of future. Personal life, I had as much as difficult run as much as most of you have. It wasn't easy for me either. Children, growing them up, having all that, it's not easy, but you need to plan out. And if you decide, see, it cannot be a comfortable job anymore. You have to deliver and deliver in time. So as future leaders, I would just say, keep certain things in mind, respect time, your time and time of others. If my meeting as a chairman started at 10 o'clock, it's not because I respected my time. I respected the time of each and every individual who was ready for that meeting. The directors, the EDs, they were all there. CGMs were there in the meeting. They have much more work to do than I had. Second, knowledge and learning continue, and knowledge and learning will continue more by listening to your team, listening to the stakeholders, listening to everybody. You get so much more ideas, curiosity about everything. Keep your feedback mechanism, empower your team, and then whatever the shared goal is, walk towards it with confidence, with the thought that whatever you do should be the best for this country, since we are in CPSEs, for the company, for all the stakeholders. And to tell you, friends, the joy you get in giving back to the society, the stakeholders, just because you are heading a CPSE. So many employees, so many contractual laborers, the township, the people in the township, the hospitals, the schools. So the joy you get in being able to bring that small incremental change in a person's life gives you so much more satisfaction than chairing any big organization. Thank you so much. All the best to all of you.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for actually teaching us through your experience and raising some very pertinent points, which I'm sure if all of us follow will really release our true potential. Thank you once again, ma'am. Now is the time to be motivated by our chief guest, Ms. Aarti Ahuja, Secretary, Labor and Employment. Ma'am is an IAS officer having more than 3 decades of experience in array of domains as she held charge of Secretary, Ministry of Chemical and Petrochemicals prior to her current position. In her career, ma'am has also served as Additional Secretary of Ministry of Health and Family Welfare during the most critical time for the whole globe, that is the pandemic. While having worked predominantly in social sectors, ma'am has also written many articles and journals in journals and books. Now is the time to hear her and be inspired. So, ma'am, may I invite you for your address, please?
Thank you. And thank you for inviting me for today's function. I'm not taking everybody's names, but consider the names taken. And, you know, when I was called for this program, I saw the heading. It says Leadership Development for Women Executives. And I thought to myself, they're already leaders. What kind of development are we talking about? They can teach us a thing or two. They're already there. Yes, you can clap for yourself. Give yourselves a big hand. Who amongst them or amongst us has not multitasked? All of us. We are juggling this with that. We are thinking higher level. We are thinking lower level. Pocha nahi laga. You know, we are doing all that all the time. Right? And that is the quality of a leader. You look at the bigger picture, you look at the nuts and bolts. So you already have it, ladies. You deserve it. You are here because you deserve to be here, right? Everything that is there today is within your power, and that power is within you. So remember that you have come to this level as a woman executive because you deserve to be here. You know, frankly, I have worked in government now for 33 years. I have worked in some of the most Naxal affected areas, remote areas where, you know, when I joined, even milk was not available. We had to buy Amul ka milk powder, etc. I worked in those areas. Never in my life, in these 30 years, 33 years, have I been treated as a woman. And I'm grateful to government for that. I have been treated as an officer. And that is also because I never asked that I be treated like a woman. I have never said, don't send me to those areas. Don't give me that assignment. Don't do this because I'm a woman. And that is precisely what the government has given back to me. Right? And that is, I think when we are talking of women leadership, that is the fundamental thing we need to remember. We are officers. We are executives. And as that, we bring certain something extra to the job. That is our innate capacity for many, many other things. And that is what needs to define when we are talking of women leadership. And when we are talking of women leadership, where do we stand today in the country? What is happening in India? You were mentioning about women's workforce participation. In the last about 6 to 7 years, it used to be about 23% in 17-18. Today it is 33%. So gradually it is going up. But that is not the only metric or the assessment criteria. We see more and more women in leadership positions. And I don't mean only formal leadership positions. You look around you in the country, look at the sarpanches, look at women who are the self-help groups. Just interact with any woman who's part of a self-help group. You will be amazed at her level of confidence. You go to this Mela in Pragati Maidan, which is, where all the self-help groups come to sell their products. They come directly, they travel by air, they travel by train, they come here, they sell. Talk to them and you will realize what entrepreneurs they are, how they are the real leaders. So this is what is happening in our country today. People, women are moving beyond the traditional comfort zones. They are coming ahead. They are doing things that nobody thought they would be doing. We don't need separate offices or separate units or separate thanas. We don't need that. We need to be acknowledged as equals who are part of the ecosystem and who are delivering as well as anybody else. So when you are part of the India story, India, I was telling you about the self-help groups. That is the nuts and bolts and the women who are making a difference there. India is now the 5th largest economy in the world. You remember a time, at least my generation has seen that scarcity. The same district that I'm talking about where there was no milk powder available is today the granary of the country. Everybody you can see when you go there, you can see mobile phones, you can see tractors, you can see motorcycles, you can see these signs of prosperity. So India is now the 5th largest economy in the world. We are hosting the G20. We are the presidency of G20. In fact, I chair the employment working group in the G20. And I have seen there how when India speaks, even in ILO, when India speaks, people listen because India carries a voice. And you are part of that turnaround. You are part of that cusp when India has already taken off. If you see the growth projections, global growth projections, India is the only country. I'm including China, which has had a very good growth trajectory so far. India is the only country in the world that is projected to grow at 6 to 7% in the coming 2 years. And you are part of that story. You are going to be part of that story. You are going to contribute to that story. That is what you need to believe and understand. What does it mean when I say that you are going to be part of that story? What does it mean in concrete terms? You are leaders. You already are leaders. What does being a leader mean actually? What does it mean? It means the best leaders are those who create more leaders. Best leaders are not those who say everything stops with me. I am the fountainhead of all wisdom and nobody else knows anything. Best leaders are those who create more leaders, who create people who will dream more, who will do more, who will become more, right? So that is what anybody, man or woman, that is what we need to become. Those are the leaders. We also need to innovate. When we are part of the India story, we also need to understand that there are some legacies which may not be desirable. We need to innovate. But how do we innovate? Innovation or bright ideas don't just come like that. You need to understand what are the nuts and bolts. I was talking to Somaji, for example, when she joined, working on the shop floor, seeing what goes on there, talking to your people, understanding their issues, and then hearing from them because they know better than us, understanding from them, and then doing those system level innovations, then changing the processes, the process re-engineering. That is what we need to do. The third thing is, which I think all of us understand, but sometimes we leave it behind, and that is keep learning. Learning does not stop. Even today, I try and read before I go to sleep because there is just so much to learn. There is so much to learn about the sector I'm in. There is so much to learn about the environment I'm in. There is so much to learn about myself, about others. Keep learning. This is one of the greatest fallacies I think we make in leadership positions. We assume that just because I have reached a certain level, I know everything. It's not like that. Everything is changing. It's dynamic. We need to keep abreast. And that is when the quality of an officer is, right? So this is one thing I think I would emphasize above all. Then I was happy to see that in your training program, there is negotiation, communication, extremely important. Many times, especially women, do not negotiate for what is rightfully theirs. They do not come up or they do not speak because it may not be taken rightly, and they are probably more sensitive to these issues. So learn to negotiate, learn to communicate, and learn to hold your own. You must learn. As I said, that I never felt like a woman in service. Never. Never. And believe me when I say that, never. I was always have been treated as an officer. No different from anybody else. And I think that has been the greatest thing that's happened to me. Right? So hold your own. You are an officer first, an executive first. Whatever task is given to you has to be done professionally, has to be done to the best technical competence. You have to deliver. Nobody is going to come and empower. It's not something somebody does, right? Empowerment has to come out of here. And you need to feel that within yourself. So just reading out a quote for you. A strong woman knows she has strength for the journey. A woman of strength, which is different, a woman of strength knows it is in the journey that she will become strong. So your journey, you've already started that. In this journey, you will find ways to become strong. And there are certain ways in which you can become strong. On the government's part, I would say that, this whole enabling environment, and I'm just not talking about you, I'm talking of all women in the country. There has been an enabling environment. There have been so many things, the internal complaint committees, the maternity, the childcare leave, the maternity benefits have gone up, creches have come up in many places. There's a lot that is happening to facilitate. We are now, in fact, in the ministry, we are setting up a task force for how to increase women's participation in the workforce. And any of you who are listening, if you have any suggestions, please feel free to email them to me on my official email ID. I check it every day. So please feel free to do that. But I want to end on this theme with a very well-known experiment that was done many years back in Stanford. As part of a social experiment, what they did was that the PhD students, they divided into two groups. So they asked for volunteers. They didn't, so they said, okay, I am going to set up a mock prison. Some people will be guards and some people will be prisoners. So these are all kids who study together, they're classmates. So they said, okay, what do you want to be? So that person said prisoner. What do you want to be? That I want to be guard. Like that, they allocated them. And then they set up a mock prison in the university itself, in their department itself. They set up 1 or 2 rooms as prison. Gave them uniforms, prison uniforms and guard uniforms. And the whole thing was being monitored on CCTV. There was nobody else. It was just these kids who are classmates. In 2 days or 3 days, they had to stop the experiment. You know why? Because the people who were wearing uniforms started behaving like guards, like the prison guards, which they thought the prison guards were of those kinds. And the kids who had opted to be prisoners started behaving like prisoners. To the extent that the kids who had been assigned the role of guards, to the extent they started hitting their classmates. And that is when the experiment had to be stopped. What does it tell you about the human mind? It's a famous Stanford experiment. There was a movie also made on it. What does it tell you? It's the same story which you have heard as kids, no? That the elephant got chained as a kid. Could not break free. Even when it became a full-blown hathi, it still did not want, it didn't, because it thought it can't break that chain. That was the conditioning of the mind. That conditioning can happen in 2 days. So always remember that. Don't let stereotypes define you. And that's why I'm emphasizing again and again, that don't think that I am a woman, तो मुझे ऐसा काम दें कि मैं घर 3 बजे चली जाऊं, मैं ऐसे, because that is a stereotype. Don't fall into those stereotypes. You are an officer. You are here to be part of something bigger. You have a big role to play, and understand that. You're also an icon for many others who are not yet in the positions that you are in. They are watching you. They are learning from you, right? All of you would have had 6-7 years of service or more. So they are learning from you, and you're also an icon for them. So being professional and multitasking, that is what we are good at doing and will continue doing. So I would like to end, and once again, thank you, and end with another quote from Maya Angelou, famous writer and poet. Do read her whenever you find time. She says that when hope and fear can occupy the same space, right? When hope and fear can occupy the same space, invite only one to stay. And it is your choice which one you invite to stay in your mind. So with those words, I wish you all the very best. May you prosper, may you grow, may you do very well in your careers, and may you be trailblazers for other people also, men or women alike. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for such an enlightening address. I'm sure all are rejuvenated and to give their best to become greater leaders because they already are leaders. So moving ahead, thank you very much, ma'am, for your address. Indeed, this has been a very insightful session with guidance received from eminent panelists and eminent and successful leaders on the dais. Now is the time to move to technical sessions, but before that, I would like to invite Ms. Varsha Raut, President, Women in Public Sector WIPS, to present the vote of thanks to this esteemed panel who have taken time from their busy schedule for this occasion. Over to you, ma'am.
A very good morning to all present here. Myself Varsha Raut, President WIPS Apex. Welcome Chief Guest Madam Aarti Ahuja, Secretary LNE, Ministry of Labour and Employment, Government of India. Guest of Honor Madam Soma Mandal, Member Public Enterprises Selection Board and former Chairperson Scope and Chairman SAIL. Dr. Vasundhara Upmanyu, Joint Secretary, Department of Public Enterprises. Sri Satoshi Sasaki, Officer in Charge, International Labour Organization. DG Scope, Sri Atul Sokti, Sri Ravi Kumar Tyagi, Director of Operations, Power Grid Corporation of India Limited, members of Scope, Executive Board, Sri Ashok Bhatt Sir, Program Director, and all who are most valued guests of today's program, all those who are connected through digital media for the program of leadership development for women executives. As you know, Forum of Women in Public Sector is an autonomous and vital wing of Standing Conference of Public Enterprises and is the largest unified network of the working women of central public sector PSUs. I have the honor and privilege to express our gratitude and deepest appreciation on this occasion on behalf of all my colleagues of Forum of Women in Public Sector and myself, where empowered women and experts of various fields are participating in this program. Madam Aarti Ahuja, it brings us great pride and pleasure to thank you for your presence. Thank you for imparting your priceless knowledge to all present here, who will surely benefit from it. We are indebted to you for sharing your time and experience with us. Our sincere thanks to Madam Soma Mandal for her guidance and inspiration to us. We also thank Dr. Vasundhara Upmanyu for her gracious presence today. Our thanks to Dr. Sri Satoshi Sasaki for his address. I take this opportunity to thank Executive Board of Scope and Sri Atul Sokti Sir, DG Scope, for continuous support and encouragement to WIPS. Scope is a source of guidance and inspiration for us. Scope is promoted excellence in working women by enhancing effectiveness with the help of their conducive policies and strategies. Leadership Development Program is one of the initiatives which will help women executives to look within themselves and improve overall performance. Thank you, Sri Ravindra Kumar Tyagi sir, for sharing industry perspective and highlighting role of women in public sector. We would also like to thank all facilitators of this program who have joined us today and will be enlightening us by sharing their knowledge in the next sessions. Thank you to the organizations who have supported by nominating delegates. I finally express my sincere gratitude to the entire team of Scope who has tirelessly worked for this program. Thanks to all who have directly and indirectly supported the event. Although we are facing great challenges in new age of turbulence and pandemic, friends, be rest assured, with the great challenges always comes to great opportunity. So don't miss it. Please continue to be partner with us in our efforts to achieve our objectives. I offer my sincere thanks to each one of you for participating in this program and making it grand success. This workshop will definitely help all women leaders present here to enhance their leadership skills in organization, countries, as well as it will help them to contribute in their organizational roles. I wish all the success to this program and look forward to extremely productive sessions with our prominent and distinguished speakers. Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. With this, we come to the end of the inaugural session and we request all the participants to please join us for tea and reassemble in Mirza Ghalib Hall in 15 minutes for program outlined by Mr. Ashok Bhatt.